Every month, a bunch of new games release, and every month gameranx goes through, figures out which are best to at least pay attention to, and puts them together in a nice, easy-to-digest list. Hi, folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the video games releasing in September 2024 you're going to hear about. Starting off with number 10, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. Now, I'm not one to get excited about a Harry Potter release. I'm not automatically sold on them. There are certainly good Harry Potter games, but one I actually look back on fondly is Quidditch World Cup. Now, I don't know exactly how much of a direct predecessor this game is to that game, but it's interesting because the kind of Fortnite-y look Champions has actually kind of harkens back to World Cup a little bit. Honestly, this looks like a pretty fun game. You have all the different positions, chaser, seeker, beater, and keeper. It's the full-blown Quidditch experience. Looks a little faster in pace than the old game. And also it's multiplayer, which is, I think, the biggest reason for this game to exist. Honestly, to me, it looks like some good, clean fun. It's coming to PlayStation and Xbox on September 3rd, and it will be landing on Nintendo Switch later, so keep your eyes peeled. At number 9 is Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. In all seriousness, how couldn't you want this? The original Dead Rising in RE Engine powered glory. A totally absurd game that, from everything I've seen, they've gone out of their way to preserve all of the feel of, including the gameplay, which looks very familiar. Everyone who's played this game a lot looks at that gameplay, oh, that's how it feels. At least to me, unless they're hiding something that shows it's not, it looks like pretty authentic Dead Rising gameplay. They've also given us a few additions, including a new voice actor for Frank West, and not because they just wanted to replace the original guy, but they wanted a lot more talking in the game. Any conversation that was previously just text in the original version of the game now has voice acting, which I think is awesome, actually. But besides that, they've added the ability to save anytime in Infinity Mode, which is a welcome addition. But one thing they have absolutely preserved is how everybody moves in this game, which is very old and arcadey looking, and I couldn't be happier about that. Dead Rising Deluxe Remastered is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC September 19th. And number 8 is Enotria, The Last Song. So this is a kind of interesting Souls-like, where a lot of Souls-likes and the Souls games themselves are portrayals of decay, worlds that are in decline or already declined, and your mission is somehow sad or not necessarily to restore the glory of what once was, but to prevent something worse, maybe. Enotria, The Last Song, I think, takes a novel approach just to the world itself in a Souls-like. This is a world that is alive. You see sunflowers everywhere in some of the shots. Vibrant and pretty, although not necessarily full of life. We don't see the kind of decay we're normally accustomed to in a Souls-like, though. The thing that's going on is there's basically a magical, evil stasis that is holding the world in place. Your whole thing is you're setting out to end this stasis. I'm sure that there are some people who don't mind the stasis, so they're going to try to stop you. This game is heavily inspired by Italian folklore, particularly in location, and I gotta say, everything I've seen of it is very pretty. The sun lights everything in a very striking way. Enotria, The Last Song is coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series September 19th. And number 7 is Astro Bot. This is a game I'm actually fairly excited for. It probably sounds silly, but if you remember the Astro Bot sort of VR games for PlayStation VR, they're pretty damn good platformers. Even though they're not necessarily full-blown games, they're kind of in some ways tech demos and tutorials and ways of introducing you to the PlayStation VR headset. That being said, they're actually really fun. They play more like a traditional platformer than a VR game, but they do things that sort of show you functions of VR. I like them, but I'm more excited for this than I would have ever been for another VR Astro Bot game. Astro Bot, the game, is an 80-level 3D platformer. It's a full game. It's 4 times the length of Astro's Playroom. And the thing that's fun about this franchise is it's kind of a celebration of PlayStation. At least the VR games were, and from every indication, it seems like a lot of it is here. Astro Bot is himself supposed to look like PlayStation hardware, in certain ways at least. In the same way the older games were meant to show off the PSVR, this one is, I mean, to a lesser extent, of course, intended to show you various features from the new DualSense controller. Although, I'll say, we're years into using the DualSense controller. I don't think we need tutorializing or any pointing out of things it can do. Hopefully it uses the things the controller can do in interesting ways. I'm sure it will. Again, the previous two games were great. They were way better than they had any right to be. And I'm kind of looking forward to a game of it, like a full-ass Astro Bot game. I love platformers. I love 3D platformers. The mechanics are going to be similar to Rescue Mission, where you have various bots you have to rescue in each of the levels. I'm completely on board for a full Astro game, so I will definitely be picking this up for the PS5 when it lands September 6th. At number 6 is ZOOCHOSIS. Hey, what if you crossed a zoo with The Thing? Well, you get ZOOCHOSIS. It's a game in which you play as a night zookeeper, tasked with taking care of a bunch of animals that get infected with an alien menace and try to kill you. A lot of what you're trying to do here is to save the animals, but I would guess that a lot of the game revolves around trying to save yourself from the animals. It's a striking looking game. Like, you never really see animal body horror, at least not in video games. I'm sure you can find plenty of it if you really want to, but I really haven't seen a game that looks like this or is trying to do what this is trying to do. While the setup might sound a little Five Nights at Freddy's like, it's more of an FPS, and I don't mean shooter, I mean a first-person something. Until I actually play this one, I don't know if I want to categorize it as anything particularly specific. It is a very interesting looking game, and I am very much looking forward to giving it a spin when it releases on PC September 23rd. At number 5 is Frostpunk 2, which, if you're aware of the life consumer that Frostpunk can be, you'll be either extremely happy or dismayed that they have made it so that you can not only build a larger city, but now you have to do a lot more to keep your citizens happy. Actually, maybe happy's a stretch. It's Frostpunk. It's not really a game about the warm fuzzies by any means. It's kind of the opposite. Says so in both of the words that make up its name. But now you're building districts and doing negotiations and political wheelings and dealings with various factions. There's now a feature called the Council Hall, where 100 members of the community, who each represent a certain faction, vote on stuff, and, well, that sounds pretty different from the first game, actually. You're also going to be required to make promises about the future, and if you can or can't or don't uphold them, you can get in trouble with various people and factions. All in all, I think the potential for a deep narrative is actually a bit higher. Certainly there'll be political intrigue, and that trailer where they announced the game, pretty dramatic actually. Although in perhaps a slightly different way than we're typically used to. Frostpunk is coming to PC on September 20th. It will be coming to Xbox Series and PS5 next year, but that's a ways off. At number 4 is The Casting of Frank Stone, which is a new game by the Until Dawn developers, set in the world of Behavior Interactive's Dead by Daylight. Now, this is an interesting crossover, in my opinion. You don't really see totally different genres of game tap into an IP that the developer has nothing to do with. What happened was Behavior Interactive had been wanting to make a single-player narrative-driven game in their universe, but just didn't have the experience. And according to Steve Goss of Supermassive, the game is going to feel familiar if you've played other Supermassive games, but, quote, huge sections of the game will feel nothing like a traditional Supermassive game. That's very interesting to me because, I mean, we all know what a Supermassive game is at this point. So there's kind of a lot of new and different things here, even though you may not really think of them as that astoundingly different. Dead by Daylight has a pretty cool universe, at least in terms of its looks, but I'm excited to learn more about it, honestly. The Casting of Frank Stone is coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series on September 3rd. At number 3 is The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. This is a game that puts you in control of Princess Zelda rather than Link, but it does have a very similar look to the Link's Awakening remake, which is, I think, a good thing because that was a fantastic game. And they're indicating with that look they wanted to play that way. And it looks like it does, of course, but Princess Zelda obviously has a different set of abilities, like the ability to bind objects. The way that works, once you've binded an object, it moves along with your movement as Zelda. Or the other way around, I imagine that there are instances where puzzles combine both types of binding. It's going to be interesting, for sure. It's obviously a Switch exclusive. It looks like a lot of fun, in my opinion. Obviously, I'll take more Link's Awakening style Zelda games. In a lot of ways, I kind of hoped that they would take that style and remake Link to the Past as well. Maybe with time, maybe with interest in this game. Who knows? It's landing on Switch September 26th. At number 2 is Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Obviously, the Test Drive series is known for big open worlds. I'm pretty excited about this one in particular. It features a 1-to-1 recreation of Hong Kong Island, and that means traffic is going to be on the opposite side of the road. It's never happened before in one of these games. The other 2 test drives are plain old American left-hand traffic, and I think that's friggin' cool. It's also going to be really annoying, I have a feeling, but right now I think it's really cool. They say they're going to make Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown to be like a competitor to Forza or The Crew, but also, and I don't know exactly how this fits in, the director also said, additionally to those, it will be a competitor to Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't know how that's going to be the case. Test Drive really isn't Grand Theft Auto, but we'll see. I'm kind of just happy if it's another Test Drive game that doesn't depart too far from what makes Test Drive great. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC September 12th. And finally, at number 1, we've said a lot about this. This is a big deal. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Now, obviously, we're going to do plenty of content on this game. It's a sequel to a pretty damn good, beloved game, and everything we've seen about it makes it seem like it's definitely going to be an improvement. They aren't playing the shove some random multiplayer mode down your throat. They're doing multiplayer that's similar to the old multiplayer, and they're doing co-op, and they've made some key changes to how the combat works, which is not necessarily making it easier. I suspect this game, like the previous game, are not going to be like tremendously hard, but the additions like expanding the melee combat, it's going to make the game more fun, and that's really the best element of it. The original Warhammer 40k Space Marine is a damn good hack and slash kind of shooter that looked a lot like Gears, but really wasn't a lot like Gears. There were elements that it shared in common with it, sure, but it is definitely not a game that emphasizes cover. You are a brute force lunatic in a huge space armor suit, and I cannot wait to jump back into that world with the same kind of gameplay, upgraded, of course, for modern stuff, in a way that doesn't endanger the game. Like, I look at this, and there are some games where I think, upgraded, modern, you're going to ruin what made the game the game. Doesn't seem like that's happening here. Quality of life seems to be the primary stuff they've changed. Everything about it looks fun. It looks goofy in the way the original was. Also dark, also epic. I mean, it's Warhammer 40k, and it's probably one of the most beloved Warhammer 40k video games that's ever been made, getting a sequel. Much later, might I add. It's been way too long. The game's landing on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC September 9th. I do have a couple of bonus for you as well. First off, it's Age of Mythology Retold, a full-blown remake of Age of Mythology, which was itself a spin-off of Age of Empires. In a lot of ways, it's retaining a lot of stuff from the original game, but they're adding some more modern features to keep it up with Age of Empires. The engine that they used to make Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, the Bang engine, is specifically what they built this one on top of, and it looks fantastic. I'm really excited, because Age of Mythology was a game I remember going back to and having a lot of fun. It wasn't a bad-looking game at the time. It's just obviously an old game and has quite a few limitations. From what I've seen, a lot of the animation of, for instance, the gods doesn't have those limitations. I'm pretty excited to see the god powers, which, by the way, now are actually multi-use, and you get cooldowns, which I think is a definite improvement. Like, the reason you're playing this game is the god powers, right? Age of Mythology is coming to Xbox Series and Windows September 4th. Next is NBA 2K25. Damned 2K games just keep looking more and more real. Man, this is a long and storied series. I remember playing the original NBA 2K on the Dreamcast and thinking, wow, a game can't look more realistic than this. Here we are about 25 years later. I'm still saying it. Obviously, they keep looking more and more realistic, but these games always are just top of the line, at least with that. There are not a lot of major changes this year. A couple of the features introduced last year being kept, like the Pro Play NBA footage to animation pipeline they have. It's interesting, but I will say it's not as big of a deal as it was last year, obviously. They are introducing various build cap changes, including something they're calling Legends badges. Acceleration has been replaced with agility, and now you don't do stamina through the builder. In my career, now you have to work out in a Gatorade facility, which is, I think, kind of cool, while at the same time clearly being an advertisement. They did remove the badge regression from NBA 2K24. I'm happy about that. That was annoying. Beyond that, this is obviously a yearly upgrade. Those, I think, changes are welcome ones, each of them, if not major. But what a beautiful NBA. But obviously, incredible looking game. Always fun, you know. If you don't have last year's, this is a good one to get. It's landing on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and Windows on September 6th. And this will be the first year that the PC players get all of the features the console players get. So that's pretty cool. Moving on, we've got Epic Mickey Rebrushed. If you missed your chance to play this one back on the Wii, and a lot of people did, because although the Wii was a highly popular console, a lot of the more serious gamers didn't really play games on it. This is a full-on remake. It has moved Epic Mickey away from the Gamebryo engine over to Unreal, and it's looking real nice. If you're not familiar, it's a different kind of Mickey game. Like, for those not familiar, it was a Mickey in a dark Disney World type game. Kind of like Castle of Illusion or Forest of Illusion. It has that kind of a vibe, except for it's obviously a lot more extensive with what it does with Disney properties. The world that Mickey goes to has a bunch of forgotten creations of Disney, and it's dark and it's quite epic, as the title suggests. It's a great game. There's also a big improvement, and I talked about this in the Lollipop Chainsaw remake point, but there's a big improvement on the camera. Here, it's a much more vast improvement because it's not only that it's a new engine, they've completely remade all the graphics, it's also a game that you will not be playing on a Wiimote and a nunchuck. You had no way to control the camera in the original game, and I can't imagine going back to it. So I'm pretty excited about more traditional controls for it, control over the camera, and just jumping back into a really underappreciated classic. It's not like it did bad or anything, but it was released at a time when the Wii was not new and everyone is kind of moving over to HD, powerful consoles. I'm just really looking forward to getting back into this game. It's landing on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, the PC, and of course the Nintendo Switch on September 24th. Next is EA Sports FC 25. As you know, this is what FIFA is now, if you're wondering. It's a yearly update, but it's a little more comprehensive than the last one we talked about. The tactical system is getting a complete overhaul, so you get a couple of things changed here. First, the player has more agency over team strategies. Also, they're saying their AI is smarter, but I mean, the proof is always in the pudding for that. They've also come up with this thing called player roles, so as a player, you fit into a team strategy in a specific way based on what you choose here. That's interesting because normally you're kind of just this omnipresence. I'm not sure if that's going to play out great or not. We'll see. I think it's an interesting idea, though. There's new play styles for goalies, and there's a 5v5 rush mode that they've added. I think that's fun. So honestly, I think this is probably worth it, even if you're a skip-a-year person. The updates are more substantial than just a roster. EA Sports FC 25 is coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, PC, and Nintendo Switch September 27th. Next is Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, which includes Ace Attorney Investigations Miles Edgeworth and Ace Attorney Investigations 2 Prosecutor's Gambit. Honestly, probably my favorite games in the series. I like Miles Edgeworth. I like the investigation mechanics. And I'm pretty happy to have access to these games, legitimately speaking, on both the PC and the Nintendo Switch. You can get it, of course, on the Xbox and PlayStation platforms as well. I will probably be getting it for the PC. Maybe the Switch. I have some traveling in my near future, and that sounds like a lot of fun. There is a demo of this available, and the save data will transfer over to the full game. I think always a very good way to go. So if you can't wait until September 6th, that's available right now. Another cool one coming up is Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP, the remaster of Lollipop Chainsaw, which is a pretty damn fun game. Some of the best things I think that they're adding for the remaster is improving the camera for the chainsaw action. I think that's really always something that people should be thinking about when they remaster a game. Were there problems with the camera, and can we fix them? I know that sounds really obvious, but a lot of remasters aren't like full recodes or full graphic replacements. And the fact is, regardless of if you're doing that or not, you can improve things like the camera. It's not that Lollipop Chainsaw ever had like the worst camera, and it never really did. But that's the kind of improvement I always like to hear about. Stuff that, I mean, if it works, you're not even going to really notice that it's improved because you're immersed in the game. It's one of those quality of life things. I like that stuff. It was originally going to be a full remake, but it ended up being a remaster, and honestly, I'm kind of happy about that. I didn't really want a remake. The more it's like the original, but with just some quality of life stuff, the more happy I am about it. Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP is landing on PS5, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC for the first time on PC. It was going to be September 25th, but it got moved up to September 12th. Hell yeah. Next is Starfield Shattered Space, a Starfield DLC that's actually, I think, going to make the game a lot more interesting. You got new enemy factions, new bosses, new weapons, new armor, new planets, and what they're calling the car mech system, which is mechs with the combat abilities of mechs, but the speed and maneuverability of cars. I'm interested to see how that plays. It looks fun, but that's landing on PC and Xbox Series on September 30th. Final Fantasy XVI is landing on the PC, and I'm so excited. I love Final Fantasy XVI. It's like an extremely long Devil May Cry game with a plot like Game of Thrones that doesn't suck. Like, the end of Game of Thrones makes the plot kind of suck, so it's whatever. Characters are great. Battling is great. I love any game that's inspired by Devil May Cry, but it's not just inspired by it. Platinum Games actually worked on it. But I'm kind of excited to play it on PC because, honestly, that's where I wanted to play it in the first place. It's a game that I think a really beefy PC is going to benefit quite a bit. Not that it runs bad on PS5 or anything, but I just have a feeling it's gonna be good. I'm excited to play it again. I'm definitely going to on September 17th when it comes out. That's probably going to occupy another week of my life again. And finally, and this is a big one for me as well, God of War Ragnarok's landing on PC. I love the God of War reboot series. They're both really good games. And this is another one where I've thought, you know, it's really going to be good to go through this on PC when it comes out, because they did actually a pretty damn good job with the first God of War port, and it stands to reason that they will do the same here. That one's landing on PC September 19th. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.